Hello, Gene Schwimmer here. Welcome to today's vlog. Just a couple of short subjects. The first one, Joe Biden promised to go after us Second Amendment supporting gun owners. He met in the White House, I believe it was yesterday. I'm recording this, or over the weekend. I'm recording this on Monday. You're seeing it on Tuesday. But he met with a bunch of, or several gun control groups and promised action on gun control to stop gun violence, which means, of course, going after assault, quote unquote, assault weapons, even though we're talking about semi-auto rifles that are almost never used in a crime anyhow, and all these problems with gun violence, it's almost all in Chicago and other Democrat-run cities that they want to, well, they want to punish everybody. I think they just hate gun owners. But the possible good news is, here's the headline: amid rising violent crime and demands to, quote, defund police, unquote, gun sales skyrocket among blacks. Gun sales among black Americans skyrocketed by 56% in 2020, partly in response to a push to, quote, defund police, unquote, leaving many Americans worried about protecting themselves, according to a gun expert with Gun Owners of America. Okafor Cover, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, who is black, thinks the rise in gun ownership among black Americans helps explain part of the historic gains former President Trump made among black voters in 2020, to levels not seen by a Republican candidate since 1960. Quote, people finally realize that we have to have someone who is protecting our rights in the White House and in the Congress, as well as on the city and municipal level and at the state level as well. And really, that's the only reason why the government should be there in the first place, is to protect our individual freedoms, unquote. Right, protect our individual freedoms, not take them away, so especially our individual freedom, our individual right, our moral right, our natural right, our God-given right to defend ourselves, especially when you have, well, it's just an example of, and I'm going to give you another one in a minute, an example of how crazy our liberal friends are, or at least some of them. They want to, well, it's the same thing with the $15 minimum wage that they're pushing for. The Congressional Budget Office stated that it would cost over 1 million jobs. 1 million jobs would be lost, but our Democratic friends are going, or they're trying to go through with it anyhow. Hopefully it'll be filibustered, and hopefully the Democrats won't eliminate the filibuster, and hopefully if they do eliminate the filibuster, that when, as inevitably will happen, Republicans are back in power and have the White House and both houses of Congress go to town, just as you made use of the elimination of the filibuster for federal judges, which led to an elimination of the filibuster for Supreme Court justices. Which is a little aside here. I'm praying that we don't have a Supreme Court vacancy, at least not among, well, especially not among one of the conservative justices, while we have a Democratic president in the White House and a democratically controlled Senate. So that's something else to worry about. But the good news from this is about the increased gun ownership among black people is, well, I don't understand why they're voting so well. They're voting more and more, apparently, for Republicans or for Trump, but not enough to swing the election this time. Hopefully, though, this will grow because, as this article just said, the number of black votes that Trump got, or the percentage that he got, is a level not seen since 1960. 1960 is before Lyndon Johnson and the Great Society, where all the problems that the Great Society and liberalism ever since was supposed to fix, all of those problems, they were trending downward. They were being fixed before liberals came along and tried to fix it. Like certain Democrats said a long time ago, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. but they keep trying to fix it and they just make their problems worse. But I'm hoping with the rising number of black people, a key constituent of the Democratic Party, owning guns, that they are, and seeing the results of less law enforcement, fewer police, I'm hoping that black voters will be less inclined to vote for the party that wants to take away their ability to defend themselves. So that is the good news, or what I hope will be good news. We'll see what happens. Now, the second subject I want to talk about today is really just to show you a video, but I was talking about the liberal defund the police movement, and just this general anti-police movement, but I want to also talk about Antifa, about they are a part of the Democratic Party, which is why they refuse to condemn Antifa. Antifa is not a political movement. They are anarchists, pure and simple, and the little Twitter video I'm going to show you will prove it. Here's a still shot first, and I'll give you Andy No. Andy No is a reporter who was attacked by Antifa, was beaten up by Antifa, simply for reporting on them, just for being where they were and photographing and reporting on their violence. In fact, he has since had to move to England because of the death threats that he was getting from these quote-unquote peaceful protesters, Antifa. But let me put this up and I'll just read you what it says. You can see there's a still shot. I'll read what Andy No wrote, and then I'll just show you the video. Overnight, Antifa in Seattle gathered to pile snow on one of the driveways of the Seattle Police East Precinct, where Chaz used to be. They stopped police from being able to drive out to respond to calls during the snowstorm. Chaz, in case you forgot, was I forgot what the initials exactly, was something blah, 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 autonomous zone. It was that special area of about 6 square blocks that Antifa took over for quite a while to set up their own autonomous zone. That's what that was. So the police station that was in that precinct, they just went, I guess they got a lot of snow there, which is understandable for Seattle, unlike where I am now, outside of Memphis, Tennessee. They piled snow behind a police car, at least in one driveway, so that the police could not get out to respond to an emergency. Well, before I say any more, here's the video.
I'm off the divide. I'm literally not. Are you okay?
Welcome back. So you see what I was talking about. You can see them cheering that a police car could not get out of the driveway. To do what? They have no idea. They don't. It could be somebody. People die in the cold. Old people, especially old geezers like myself, well, even older than me. But you can see why I would be increasingly concerned about dying in the cold and the police not being able to get to me. But people die in cold weather, and then there's also just domestic violence, all kinds of problems. These Antifa thugs, they don't care. They don't know. They just don't want the police car to get out of there. They are cheering about the police car not being able to get out. And if it leads to somebody dying, which would be kind of ironic, wouldn't it? Because a lot of these riots started because of George Floyd, because he was killed. How many people have died since then because of these demonstrations? And here's another potential that somebody could die. Some innocent person could die. It could be, well, who knows? Maybe it's an Antifa supporter who would die. They don't care. They don't care. They just want to bring down the government, to have no government at all, and that leads to my question, the one that you saw in the title. Just remind me, who are the insurrectionists? Because the term insurrection was used over and over and over about, or to refer to, the protesters who occupied the Capitol building in Washington, D.C. Briefly, that was not an insurrection. One way you know is that nobody was arrested for insurrection, just for trespassing, for destroying private property, or I'm sorry, destroying public property. Nothing, and some of them are even being released, as I understand. I read in one article. So remind me, that's what I said, who are the insurrectionists? You can see what these people are doing. These are people who are very openly anti-government, but our Democratic friends, our dear, wonderful Democratic friends, including the President of the United States, refuse to condemn them, refuse to criticize them at all, refuse to say anything negative about them. Well, I am very disappointed, but knowing the left these days, I am not surprised. You could surprise me, though, by giving me a thumbs up if you like this video. Share it with anybody you think would also like the video. Got any comments? Comment section below the video where you can put questions, suggestions for future topics. You could subscribe. I love getting new subscribers. You could also visit my music channel. There's a link in the description where you can listen to some great music created and performed by yours truly. And, well, I'll just say how much I appreciate the time that you spend with me. I look forward to seeing all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.